So hello, I'm David Spurway. I'm the CTO for Power Systems in the UK and Ireland, which often gets translated as Chief Talking Officer, as I do normally go at something of a pace, which we'll see how that comes out here. We've had an exciting time recently in that last week we had the announcement of the new version of IBM I. So IBM I 7.4 was announced on the 23rd, so it's now been announced and can be available to you very shortly. We found, after all, we had some kind of a challenge with the kind of the cadence of how this worked in the past, in that we found that going from 7.1 to 7.2 was a 4-year gap. We've had people begin to question whether actually we were going to continue to invest in IBM I, but we absolutely are. It's key and strategic to where we're going. Then when we actually brought the next version out, 7.3, slightly faster, and we brought it out within 2 years, then customers were complaining because we were building things out too quickly, so they weren't able to keep up with us. Therefore, the plan is, and we've now established that with the new version of 7.4, coming out every 3 years. So we've got a new one now. You can expect another one in sort of 3 years hence after that. And again, we'll keep on rolling that kind of process, as we always have 2 versions of IBM I beyond the current ones in development, and that's currently what Steve will be working with right now, are 2 other versions beyond 7.4 with new features and functions, as it's certainly a strategic area that remains very strong and powerful for what we're doing. One example I feel that stands testament to that is 7.4 brings out a couple of examples where they're actually working to extreme scale. So we're actually showing support of being able to do full 192 processor IBM I instances with full SMT8. We've got pretty big before, but we're all the way up to all the threads being used at that massive scale. And we don't just do that for fun. We don't actually just enable that because we can. We enable that because customers are asking for that. Similarly, we have enormous numbers of LUNs being supported. We have gone up to nearly 4,000, or indeed other instances can nearly approach 7,000 different LUNs being supported by different instances. And again, that's because we have customers actually driving that kind of scale. We have customers who use lots of scale-out systems, but we also have customers driving our enterprise boxes right up to as big as they can go for IBM I instances, running core and critical businesses instances all around the world. We're going to see a support roadmap for IBM I, after all, it's going to carry on well into the future. The kind of versions we're now working with, being able to work with 7.4, show us being able to support IBM I out into and beyond the 2031 kind of time scale. The individual instances, of course, have their own sort of support window, but IBM I itself can be shown to be expected to be supported to there and beyond. And so there's be a new strategy paper being released fairly shortly, which will also discuss that and be able to explain further. So one of the things that is now available within IBM I 7.4, there's many different new features and functions appearing in 7.4, but one of the LPPs you can add on, if you want to, is the brand new DB2 mirror for IBM I. That enables you to be able to do true continuous availability for IBM I's instances, using high-speed Rocky Ethernet adapters to be able to communicate between the 2 different systems. It uses a brand new method of being able to do that synchronization of the data between the 2 instances of IBM I. But so that's all new, but at the same time you can actually reuse considerable amounts of what you've got already. So you're able to use Power 8 or Power 9 systems. You're able to potentially also use maybe the synchronization at the storage level for DR. But for true availability, true high availability, you're able to do this full active kind of world with IBM I. Delivers, as I say, continuous availability for these systems, true 0 RPO and 0 RTO, because the writes actually come into both boxes and are written down to both at the same time. So there is no data loss at all, and you can also have a whole system fail and be able to immediately access the other box without any outage whatsoever. One method you could use, after all, is using load balancers to be able to make sure that you're just moving between the 2 different systems, and then you just continue to work with the one that's running, and you'd have absolutely no outage whatsoever. Alternatively, you can also use the JDBC kind of connections to be able to have that instance with that server and move it across very, very quickly, because it doesn't need to restart. There's no need to bring things back up again. It's already there, and you can carry on using it. Another piece that you can also use this technology for is being able to have maybe an example of one system being used as the production workload. The other could be used to be able to have a kind of run reports against, as both are running instances of IBM I. Both are actually full active or can be, and so that's the kind of world that we're now delivering, which we haven't necessarily had before. We're very, very effective at lowering the planned and the unplanned outages. So the unplanned outages are things we've lowered a long way, and with these systems, it's still possible, but kind of pretty unusual. We've also been working hard to be able to lower the planned outages. And again, this new technology is able to enhance our capabilities beyond what Power HA could do on its own. Need to be quite close to each other, but as long as you're within that 100-meter cable length of being able to keep the systems running, then you'll be able to avoid both the planned and the unplanned with this new technology and combine it with existing for DR. One of the things, again, that IBMI has a very long heritage and a very well-respected heritage about is security. That we continue to be able to have very, very small numbers of vulnerabilities reported against IBMI, that vastly, orders of magnitude less than the likes of Windows or other alternatives. We don't get absolutely zero vulnerabilities, but we get absolutely tiny numbers, which means you have to do far less patching against the system, that you can actually also survive against some of these other vulnerabilities that turn up from our competitive offerings. You don't need to be worried about with an IBMI, and of course we can then layer up well beyond that and be able to do a great deal to be able to be very precise and very granular about access to data. We've had the row and column access control abilities within IBMI for a little while now. That's basically set up around the kind of world of should the individual running the IBMI system or a basic user be able to open up the payroll file and be able to check what his boss has paid. Obviously he shouldn't, and again with our CAC we can now get down to that level of detail of ensuring that individual users are able to work with just the level of data that they should be able to work with to do their jobs, but no more than that. We've enhanced that as well with the authority collections, and authority collections now new with 7.4 is able to work actually within the objects within the database, and again control exactly who can access what level of permission do you need. We can make sure we can match to that, and that can be very, very, very valuable to match with the elements like GDPR, which of course the big dates may have passed, but it's still an ongoing project for a very large number of our important customers to be able to make sure they're using their data appropriately. And IBMI can be part of that overall security message and a very key and core part of that solution because it is continuing to be so reliable on the security side.